Miami Hurricanes used to be a powerhouse in college football and it had a dynasty at one point. Today, we are going to rebuild them back to that point, going for 3 consecutive national championships. Mario Cristobal should be able to recruit at a high level, which is the strategy that we're going with here. Miami should be able to attract some top tier recruits, and it should help us improve dramatically and help us win football games to get to that dynasty level. We do have a lot of needs right away, though. Losing to FAU isn't an ideal way to start the rebuild. However, we hit the recruiting trail hard. We need to get these 4 and 5 star recruits to campus. That's the only way we are going to improve, only way to get better, and the only way to get to that dynasty level. As we are 0-1 on the season, we face another 0-1 team in the number 17 Clemson Tigers. Should be a tough test for us. Cam Ward running the show. It feels like we're in good hands, especially offensively. Ward has a very talented arm. He's able to make nice throws over the middle like that, throw it on a line and over with some touch. He's also got some good weapons at his disposal. Henry Parrish brings this in near the goal line, and we do punch it in for a 7-0 lead. Again, Ward's arm talent is really what's going to help us in year one. Now, we only have him for 1 year, but throws like this are going to help us tremendously, at least until we can get better talent. It doesn't require the quarterback to do so much, and we do take a 14-0 lead here. The offense ultimately gets the job done. We win the game 38-24, take a knee for a good win to put us out 1-1. We already have recruits that are ready to visit. Maybe not the top guys that we want, but there are still good movement being made on the recruiting trail. We are getting some good traction with these guys, and that's going to help us sign some of these players early in the season. Again, more visits, which means good things, especially 5-star QB John Hardy. This doesn't appear to be a problem for us early in the season. Outside of that FAU game, our offense appears to have gone off to a good start, and it's helped us to get to 4-1 in week 8. Recruiting is a little bit slow as we are 45th currently in the country, but winning games against a team like Florida State could help tremendously. Ward has been really fun to play with so far, and we take a deep shot early against Florida State. Xavier Strepo is deep, and he is open for a touchdown to get us a huge 76-yard touchdown to open things up. Florida State answers with a field goal. It's 7-3 lead. We punch another touchdown in here for 14-3. And unfortunately, we take a stack to make it 14-5. Later in the first half, Cam Ward finds Jacoby George. We kick a field goal to go up 24-5, and we add another field goal to make it 27-5. The offense is simply just too much for Florida State. Cam Ward with a ridiculous throw, and a 34-5 win is huge. That does help our recruiting. We just mentioned how it's a little bit slow. We need a kicker, so everybody's truly excited about that. But we do get 3 guys to commit after that big win against Florida State. Again, beating top 10 teams will definitely help us. And as the season goes on, that's going to be huge for our recruiting. Our offense takes a little bit of a step back in the second half of the season, though our defense does step up big. You see, we gave up 14 points in 2 of these games, 10 points in another. The Virginia game, we win pretty handily. The Pitt game, we take a 45-14 win, and it's helped us win 10 games in a row, which also means that we're signing big-time recruits. We're all the way up to number 8 in the country in terms of recruiting, which is great for us. We finished the regular season 11-1, and we faced that Florida State team again, a team that obviously we didn't have too much trouble, but is very talented. And the first half is an absolute disaster, completely different game, though Cam Ward is trying to get things back on track. A big-time throw there, but ultimately is not enough. A 48-22 lead, and our offensive line couldn't block, and Florida State ends up pulling off the upset to win the ACC championship. We do win our bowl game, though, to finish our season 12-2. We had a few guys that were trying to leave early. We did convince them to stay. You lose a quarterback in Cam Ward, so we have to find a new starter. Although recruiting has been going really well as we get 4 guys to sign there. We finished with a top 10 recruiting class, which is huge momentum heading into next year. Our offensive line really needs some help. We are going to have to shift around some guys because we do not have a ton of depth. We do not have a ton of talent. As always, the training results are probably my favorite part of the offseason. As you can see, our skill positions appear to be set. We do have a couple guys on the line that should be fine. We do see some good improvements there. And on both sides of the ball, it's looking good. Recruiting is much better. We have a much bigger selection of 4 and 5-star kids that want to come to our school. We do get an instant recruit at quarterback, which is huge, as well as defensive tackle. Up first, we face the Florida Gators. to start our season. The second year of this rebuild is going to be interesting and it's going to be challenging right off the bat. Late in the second half, we miss a field goal, an absolute what should have been a gimme. Curry Brown is trying to make something happen down 10, but he can't get his receivers to catch the ball and does take a sack. Florida's trying to run out the clock, but they do throw a pass. The guy goes out of bounds, gets tackled, meaning that on 4th and 7, we have a chance to get the ball back, which we do. Down 10, we need to move the ball down the field quickly. Ja'Curry Brown finds Washington over on the right side there, finds a guy over the middle in Joseph. We are moving the ball down the field, but ultimately, this is where we stall. We can't get the ball in the end zone. Another drop there. And Ja'Curry Brown is trying his best to thread the needle, but ultimately on 4th and 19, he can't make the completion, and we turn the ball over and lose. We do have some explosive games, but ultimately our offense is taking a little bit of a step back. We're in battles with multiple players. Recruits are ready to visit, but again, these performances offensively are causing some issues. Although recruiting does go well for us later in the season, we're up to 3rd overall in terms of recruiting class. We're getting guys to commit. Florida State is once again a win. We are finding ways to win against big time teams. But again, our lack of offense does hurt us. We lose to Georgia Tech as we are 7-2 facing the 6-3 Virginia Tech Hokies. We're trying to find a little bit of momentum towards the end of the year. 21-14, and Ja'Curry Brown is finding his guys. He's making some really nice throws, especially over the middle. We do find another touchdown there to put us up 28-14. Virginia Tech is trying to drive, but Rueben Bain, another stud for Miami, is making life difficult. The Hokies do find a way to convert a 4th and 8, and they are driving down the field down 14. Kyron Jones is making some really nice throws, and ultimately they do get in the end zone to cut the lead to 7, but we are able to run out the clock. Fortunately, we follow that up with a loss to North Carolina, 28-7. We take our frustration out on Pitt, and we do find a way to get 4 more recruits. We're still 3rd, 4 5-star recruits, 7 4-star recruits. That's a good way to get our season going. Even though we're not getting a ton of wins like we want, recruiting is going very well. And believe it or not, we do make it to the ACC championship game. We are facing those Clemson Tigers once again. They are number 6 at 11-1, and we are 14th at 9-3. Should be a tough game for us, but a chance for us to add some hardware to the trophy case. And as we are up 7-3, Henry Parrish extends our lead to 14-3, and Ja'Curry Brown is looking to do more damage here. Finds a guy over the middle, some really nice throws in tight traffic. And I really like what we're seeing from Ja'Curry Brown. Joseph's going to bring it in here for a 21-3 lead. And as we are up 28-14 in the 4th quarter, Henry Parrish is doing everything in his power to pick up extra yards. Ja'Curry Brown once again finding Xavier Restrepo over the middle, and Jay Allen doing his part to pick up a big first down late in the second half. Ja'Curry Brown from here is going to pick up a first down, tries to get in the end zone, comes up a little short, but we do punch it in later with Brown once again. Ultimately, that's enough, 35-21, and we do win the ACC championship. Utah running back Micah Bernard wins the Heisman Trophy this year. Obviously, our guys weren't going to be in that, and we do play in the Capital One Orange Bowl against number 8 USC, which we do lose. A disappointing season, honestly, if you're thinking in Miami's standards. But again, recruiting, look at that final push to get us actually to number 1. We had 2 more 5-star recruits, and we have 13 4-star recruits, a huge recruiting class for us, 24 total recruits, and most of them are 4 and 5-star guys. And as you can see, our depth is much better. Lots of 90s on that first page, and our offense and defense both have good depth, plenty of talent on both sides of the ball, and this is going to be a much better 3rd season. Schedule is going to be much tougher than it was last year. We do have a couple of classic Miami opponents on the schedule, and once again, the recruiting is the focus, even though this year's selection is a little bit worse than last year. We are projected to win the Coastal. That shouldn't be a surprise. We are one of the better teams in the ACC, and we don't have anybody in the Heisman Trophy running. And in terms of the all ACC team, we do have a handful of players, but again, that could be much better. Our 4-year outlook looks really good. As you can see, we are 11th right now, projected 7th, 5th, and 2nd going forward. Florida is back on the schedule, the number 9 Florida Gators, as they face the number 11 Miami Hurricanes. We are looking for a better result than we saw last year, and we are able to do that with a 34-16 lead. We are able to capitalize and come away with a win. Next up is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We are all the way up to number 4, and Notre Dame is number 12. It's a game on the road, so it's going to be much tougher for us to win, but this is a team that we will be tested, but it's going to be a good indicator of where we need to go. Our defense gets off to kind of a slow start. We have a safety that doesn't know who he's trying to tackle. Pass defense right now is not able to stop Notre Dame on this first drive. It's a tough start for our defense. Our defensive line is making some pressure, but we are ultimately not able to get to the quarterback. And even though Notre Dame drives, we're able to pick it off inside the red zone. Trying to capitalize here, we start with the rushing attack. Jay Allen is going to be the feature back this year. Ja'Cory Brown finds a guy wide open. It's the tight end Arroyo who picks up a big 10-yard gain there. And once again, Ja'Cory Brown is throwing really nice passes, finding guys in tight windows, in tight coverage, and he finds Joseph wide open here. Notre Dame doesn't cover him, and we take a 7-0 lead. On the ensuing drive, Notre Dame throws a bad interception, and Daryl Porter Jr. brings it in for a 14-0 lead, and ultimately we run away with this one, 34-13, and we add another big-time touchdown here as Ja'Cory Brown runs away from the defense to extend our lead to 41-13, ultimately giving us a big win over a top 25 team. That was the momentum we needed to jumpstart our offense. You're seeing we're scoring nearly 50 points in those next 2 games. It helps our recruiting efforts. And again, it's really helped us get momentum as the season progresses, both in the recruiting trail and on the field. We are absolutely dominating our competition. Players are committing to us because of it. Surprising season from Georgia Tech puts them all the way up to number 6. We are 3rd in the country, and this is going to be a huge test for us. Georgia Tech is right behind us in the standings, so we do need a win here. If we lose control of the Coastal and need to find a way to see Georgia Tech lose later in the season. Haynes King is trying to get things started here. He will scramble, pick up a good chunk of yards there, and picks up the first down on the ensuing second down play there. Haynes King once again finding his receivers. Again, our pass defense really needs to improve as the season progresses. A missed tackle by me there is not going to help. King is absolutely shredding us, but again, teams are throwing interceptions at bad times. Our defense maybe doesn't get as stops that we want, but they are getting turnovers. The offense from there takes over. Ja'Cory Brown in the rushing attack is looking to pick up big yards there. And rushing attack is a little bit better than it was in our first season. And right now, Ja'Cory Brown also looks really good throwing the football. Jay Allen picks up a big first down there. And on the next play, Brown is looking on a simple hitch route, finds Horton for a first down, which leads to a field goal. Georgia Tech does score a touchdown. Down the ensuing kickoff, Chris Johnson Jr., the absolute speedster of a running back, is in for a big gain here, a big kick return. He's trying to break 2 more tackles, but gets tackled inside the 20, and we do punch it in for a 10-7 lead. From that point on, it's pretty much our offense doing whatever it wants. A touchdown there to Isaiah Horton. Ja'Cory Brown throws another touchdown to Washington there to give us a 24-7 lead. It's now 27-7. Again, our offense is just taking it to Georgia Tech. Defense obviously doing its part as well. And this is going to be a huge win for us as we're able to pull out a 55-7 win. More big wins on the recruiting trail as well, and we are all the way up to 3rd in terms of recruiting. Clemson is once again on the schedule. The number 8 Tigers are set to face the number 2 Miami Hurricanes in the ACC Championship. We are looking for our 2nd consecutive conference title, and this one is going to be tough. We do find a way to pull out a tight win, 35-28. To go back to back. Both Ajay Allen and Ja'Cory Brown finish 2nd and 4th in the Heisman Trophy voting, and an undefeated season leads us to the national championship game against the number 1 Penn State and Indy Alliance. Penn State's defense is really good, one of the best in the country, the 2nd overall in terms of scoring defense. So our offense will need to be on its best game. We also need to find a way to slow down their rushing attack. Penn State has an opportunity to put points on the board first, but they miss a field goal. Giving the ball back to our offense. Ja'Cory Brown's able to scramble here for a first down. And on the ensuing play, Ajay Allen is able to pick up a nice chunk of yards, reads a good block, gets 9 yards there, and Brown ultimately finds his guy open with a nice throw for a 7-0 lead. Missed tackles are not our friend as Drew Aller is able to pick up a first down with 2 really poor efforts on my part there. Aller's also looking deep, throws a nice ball to Sean Clifford's brother, Liam Clifford, for a big gain there. And Nick Singleton does not need that much room, but we find a way to give him extra space, and they do punch it in to tie the game up. On the ensuing kickoff, who else but Chris Johnson Jr., the speed of Johnson, is really going to just flip the field for us. And he's trying to get a corner here. He's trying to beat the last guy down the edge, and he's able to once again get it inside the red zone. And from there, Ja'Cory Brown is looking to do some damage, rolls out to the right, finds a guy on the middle, and is able to punch it in for a 14-7 lead. Penn State is looking to answer Drew Aller with a nice pass over the middle there. Again, pass defense is not slowing down this Penn State offense. Drew Aller is pretty much doing whatever he wants. Maybe we can get a turnover, but right now, Drew Aller is carving up our defense with a lot of simple throws, not really doing a ton, but he's able to find his guys open. And then here he's going to run over a couple of our guys and punch it in. A poor decision here leads to an interception late in the first half. Abdul Carter picks it off to give Penn State good field position, and they do end up kicking a field goal for a 17-14 lead. Miami responds well in the second half as the offense is able to punch it in and go on a little bit of a run to give us a 28-17 lead. Ja'Cory Brown extends that lead to 35-17. Drew Aller and that Penn State offense, though, are trying to keep things close, but ultimately it's not enough as we come away with a 35-25 win for our first national championship of this video. We are able to break a few school records, Ja'Cory Brown getting a couple of those, and we're trying to add the final pieces to what has been a really good recruiting class. Just adding a few more players here would round out what's been a really impressive effort by our coaching staff. We do land 4 of our top 7 targets. That is a huge addition for Miami. Gets us to yet another number 1 recruiting class. Again, more 5-star recruits, more 4-star recruits, just absolutely dominant. And as you can see, the talent level is increasing, but the schedule that we have is going to be difficult. Penn State, as you can see, is right off the bat, but once again, recruiting is going to be a focus. A rematch of the national championship game features the number 3 Penn State Nittany Lions against Miami. We are number 2 in the country, and Penn State's passing attack is going to make us look bad against pass defense. Really needs to be addressed here. Drew Aller is no longer the quarterback. Saunders is absolutely destroying us in terms of the passing attack. We cannot get a stop, and Penn State actually gets on the board here first. Rueben Bain is trying to do everything in his power to keep Penn State off the scoreboard, but ultimately the rushing attack takes over here, and the quarterback's kind of taken in, and Penn State finds themselves up 14-0. It's time for our new quarterback, John Hardy, to respond. He throws a nice ball to Robbie Washington for a 79-yard touchdown. Hardy also hands it up to Chris Johnson Jr., who makes a nice juke there and is going to find his way into the 10-yard line, the 1-yard line, and Jay Allen punches it in. We do respond all the way to a 17-14 lead and actually added another touchdown to go up 24-14. From here, it's pretty much the Rueben Bain show. The defense is huge in the second half. Rueben Bain is running over tackles, creating pressure, picking up tackles for loss, and he is doing everything he can to ensure that Miami is going to win this game. And with a minute left in the fourth quarter, John Hardy is actually going to break some tackles and punch it in for a 31-17 lead. Some pass breakups there, along with pressure, give us a 31-17 win in that rematch of the national championship game. We're getting recruits to commit early, which is huge. We get 2 there, and Quentin Shelton and Anthony Miller. A revenge game for us against FAU from earlier in this video, 69-14. Our offense is absolutely firing on all cylinders, 38-17 against Wake Forest, and we find ourselves facing the number 8 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. We are the number 1 team in the country as we head to South Bend. It's a tight game. We are up 23-21. Late in the fourth quarter, Notre Dame is driving, though we are trying to get a stop here, but we can't get the pass to go our way. The rushing attack is looking really good for Notre Dame, and ultimately they do find a way to punch it in for a 27-23 lead. Late in the game, John Hardy is looking deep. He has a nice ball there, but we are incomplete there. Hardy is once again looking downfield, throws a laser to Isaiah Horton, gets us inside of Notre Dame territory, and another deep ball by Hardy finds Washington for a lead there. It ultimately was enough, and our offense takes that momentum and uses it to put on an absolute show. Two 40-point games right after that. The game against Virginia goes our way a little bit closer, but 45-24. Another 40-point game against both Duke and Georgia Tech, as well as Virginia Tech. We score 52 against North Carolina, 45 against Pitt, just absolutely running away with these games. Hardy throws for 33 touchdowns this year, over 3,700 yards. Chris Johnson Jr. nearly rushes for 1,300 yards in the regular season, 16 touchdowns. And all right, we don't have a 1,000-yard receiver, but that should change when we play in the national championship. Rueben Bain, absolute stud, 25 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks. And we are looking at multiple All-American players on the Miami Hurricanes this year. A huge season for us. Hardy finishes third in the Heisman Trophy voting. We face Texas A&M in the national championship game. We're once again ranked number 2. John Hardy gets things started for us with a nice completion there, throwing really accurate passes to Isaiah Horton, who nearly breaks the tackle to get that in the end zone. We have to settle for a field goal, and Texas A&M does get a touchdown there, but we respond. And as the game is tied 10-10 late in the first half, Heisman Trophy winner Marcel Reed, that makes us absolutely look terrible, and finds his way in the end zone on a huge touchdown run. And Texas A&M actually adds a field goal with 3 seconds left. However, John Hardy would not be outdone as he finds a wide open Robbie Washington late in the first half to get us within 3. To start the second half, Hardy is trying to get things going right off the bat, finds Joseph over in the middle, and he's trying to make sure that Texas A&M's momentum is erased early in the second half. The passing attack is just finding seams up the middle, and the rushing attack will punch it in to give us the lead. Texas A&M ultimately does not have an answer for us. A 34-23 win gives us our second consecutive national championship. What a great season. And finally, we are looking for that three-peat that will get us back to the dynasty. We have 2 in a row. 3 in a row would get us that dynasty and the rebuild. Recruiting is going really well once again. We get 3 guys here, and our third consecutive #1 recruiting class means that our depth is looking really good before trading results. We have a rematch against Texas A&M, a thing I like to do in the rebuilds. A tight game gives us a 21-17 win, 24-10 over Penn State. And this is the game that's absolutely surprising. The #2 Notre Dame Fighting Irish against #1 Miami. And similar to what we saw in real life, Miami absolutely takes it to Notre Dame. A huge 62-7 win for Miami. The offense, once again, is absolutely electric. 58 points there, 49 against Florida State, 48 against Georgia Tech. Virginia Tech gives up 66. We are absolutely destroying teams once again. And our foe in this game for the national championship, for the three-peat, is the UCF Knights. And we are going to try to get off to a hot start once again. John Hardy is rolling out to the right, looking for a guy downfield. He's going to do it himself, takes it in for a 14-0 lead. And ultimately, we are not going to be denied. The three-peat is on, a 49-0 win. UCF did not stand a chance. We find our three-peat. Miami is back to being a dynasty. The U is the U, and this was really fun. Let me know who you want to see in the next video. Comment your team below. Who would you like to see in this series?